I just don't know what to do. He's getting hit left and right lately, and I don't know how to help. But you are staying with him, right? When he needs you. I'm pretty sure he appreciates it more than you think. Terushima sighed. They were on a call with Mika for over 10 minutes now, and he was still as clueless as before. It was frustrating. Well, yeah, but I want to do more. I hate seeing him so scared. Since the last challenge a few days ago, he had been noticing slight changes in Daishio's behavior. It was subtle, but his eyes were already trained to see even the slightest change. And right now, everything was screaming warning at him. He just didn't know what to do about it, and that frustrated him more than anything else in his life so far. It's not fair. Yuji, you're already doing a lot. You're a great guy, and Suguru knows it. He's grateful that you are with him, trust me, and that you are patient with him. Just continue the things you do. But if you want to step up, you can always talk about it. He's not going to shut you down just because you are trying to help him. I'm not worried about that. I don't want to bring back bad memories. And he knows that. It will be fine, I'm sure of it. I know you can do it. Another sigh escaped Terushima's mouth. Thanks. I'll do my best. You already do that. So don't stress yourself too much, okay? That was easier said than done. Terushima hummed quietly before his eyes landed on the clock. I have to go. Suku will be home soon. Thank you. I really appreciate that you made time for me. As if on cue, he heard a key rattling in the lock of their main door, soon followed by a soft clap of the door closing. Anytime. Tell Suguru I say hello. Of course. With that, he ended the call and leaned back in the chair, groaning quietly as he rubbed his face. He hated the fact that he apparently couldn't do anything more for his boyfriend than wait. Of course, he knew that was the best course of action for now, but that didn't stop him from going far and beyond in his head as he tried to find some more proactive solution. Damn this all. Yuji? He immediately shook off the negative thoughts and jumped up, grinning as he threw his arms around Daishio's neck. Sugu, you are early today. A soft laughter bubbled in Daishio's chest, sending pleasant shivers through Terushima's skin. He pulled away a bit, only enough to see into Daishio's face and to gently bump their foreheads together. Good day? Every day is a good day when I get home. That's fair. He smiled and connected his hands on Daishio's shoulders to stop himself from doing something rushed. He wished nothing more than to cup Daishio's cheeks and kiss him senseless, to tell him that everything was fine through the best method he knew. But he knew better than that. He couldn't rush. Not now. He had never been a patient person, but for Daishio, he was willing to change that. Because Daishio deserved it. Yuji? He snapped out of his thoughts, realizing he had to space out. He hated the worry that replaced the previous smile on Daishio's face. Hated the fact that simply spacing out was enough to make his beloved boyfriend nervous. He lightly pinched Daishio's cheek, giving him his best reassuring smile. It's okay. I was just thinking about how much I love you. An adorable faint blush spread over Daishio's cheeks. How are you always so confident saying that? Because it's true, so it's easy. And I want you to know it. Daishio gaped at him for a moment before the most lovely smile Terushima had ever seen curled his lips, brightening his face. You're incredible, you know that? Only for you. But while we are on this, can I ask you something? Daishio paused, some of the worry flashing briefly in his eyes again. Sure. Okay, first off, I want you to know that this is just a challenge, nothing more to it. Just a challenge from the group chat. Daishio tilted his head, apparently confused. Okay, but why are you telling me that? Doesn't it kinda defeat the purpose? Because I don't want you to get stressed, or think I'm trying to manipulate you into something with it. But I got really curious, so I wanted to ask. Alright, then what is it? What would you do if I died? A falling pin could be heard in the silence that settled in the flat after his words. Terushima cursed inwardly when he noticed Daishio's face tensing, some of the color draining from his skin, and pulled him into a firm embrace. It's just a challenge, Sugu. Just a challenge. Nothing more. Breathe, okay? It's fine. Why would you ask something like that? Upon hearing the broken edge in Daishio's voice, Terushima mentally kicked himself and continued to caress his boyfriend's back, only relaxing when he felt Daishio's arms wrapping around him too. Show me the chat. Please. Not letting go of him for a single second, Terushima took out his phone and showed him the screen with the challenge chat on it. Daishio quickly ran his eyes over the bubbles, some of the tension leaving his shoulders. He returned into the embrace, hiding his face in the crook of Terushima's neck while he clung to the back of his t-shirt, his breathing still too ragged for Terushima's liking. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have agreed to it. No, it's fine. I was just scared that it's something real after all. I wouldn't do that to you. I know. I'm sorry. Taking one last stabilizing breath, Daishio pulled away a bit, but still stayed firmly glued to Terushima's side, not letting go even for a bit. I don't know what I would do. I know it might sound weird because we haven't been together for that long yet, but you are my ray of sunshine, you know? When I met you back then, it was like walking outside from a dark basement. If I lost you, it would be dark again. Terushima flinched involuntarily with that comparison and gently squeezed Daishio's side. Is that why you agreed when I asked you out? Even after all that stuff? Yeah. I still can't believe you decided to stick with me for so long. Even with all those setbacks. Terushima huffed softly and removed a stray strand of hair from Daishio's eye, forcing the fury swirling in his chest to subside. Those aren't setbacks. How come? Don't tell me you wouldn't be much further with anyone else after half a year. Maybe, but that's not the point. So what that we haven't kissed yet, or that it took 3 months before I could hug you? I don't care we are going slow. You deserve to go by your pace for as long as you need after what he did to you. Taking Daishio's hand, he left a featherlight kiss on the still visible pale scar running around his wrist, the dull ache tugging in his heart spreading into his whole chest. I'm just happy I can be with you. That's all I need. A tiny surprised squeal escaped his mouth when he got crushed against Daishio in a tight embrace, the warm breath and soft hair tickling the exposed skin on his neck. Sugu? I love you too. For everything you are. And because you never hide anything. Or lie. That makes you so amazing, you know? Even if others don't see it. Terushima's heart skipped a beat before speeding up like crazy. Closing his eyes, he leaned more into Daishio, breathing in the soft scent of lemongrass from his clothes while he battled his own emotions. He would give anything to be able to stay like this forever, but for now, he could enjoy the feeling of being close to someone he loved so dearly, and who apparently loved him back the same amount. Kenji highly doubted he was ever more exhausted than that day. Even back in high school, during the time when he was getting established as a new captain for their team, or around the tournaments when he barely slept because of nerves, he was more rested than now. And yet, he couldn't close his eyes without getting jolted awake by yet another nightmare, sooner or later. It was frustrating, especially since he was waking Aone up too quite often during the night. He could deal with himself getting affected, but he hated the fact he was dragging Aone with him. Sighing, he rolled over, his heart sinking a bit when he found the other half of the bed empty and the sheets cold. He didn't notice Aona getting up, nor could he hear any sounds from the rest of the house now. He didn't say he's going to leave today. Unwrapping himself from the sheets, he hissed when he put more weight on his knee. He cursed under his breath, gritting his teeth against the sudden surge of pain running through his leg. God fucking damn it! As if his head wasn't putting him through enough trouble in the last few days. Aona still didn't allow him to do much around the house, watching him like a hawk every time he just about moved somewhere. Kenji found it endearing, but at the same time, it was the exact thing he didn't want to happen again. He was sure he could take care of himself, even though they didn't know what caused his almost collapse, but Aona didn't want to hear anything. Kenji stopped protesting after 2 days, seeing the worry and pain on Aona's face whenever he just about winced and faltered. The weirder it was that Aona would just leave suddenly without telling him, on Saturday no less, when they both had free weekend. Maybe something came up? I doubt he would wake me up just to tell me he was leaving, even if it was an emergency. Yeah, that's definitely what happened. Nothing more to it. Clenching his jaw, he pushed through the pain and stood up, his legs slightly wobbly, but managed to hold him upright. He glanced at his old crutches, still leaned against the wall, and scowled, ostentatiously ignoring their presence. No way in hell I'm walking with those again. He limped to the stairs, listening for any sounds that would suggest Aona was home after all, but judging by the complete silence, he was indeed home alone. Weird. He was just about to walk down the stairs when the main door clapped close, the sound stopping him in his tracks. Nobu? The echo of fast, heavy footsteps quickly grew on strength until Aona's form appeared from behind the corner, very clearly written all over his face. Careful. Huh? Stay there. He rushed up the stairs and glued himself to Kenji's side. You should have waited for me. Kenji blinked a few times, his mind racing to comprehend what was happening. Aona's shoulders were tense, same as his voice, and Kenji found himself itching to reach his hand and smoothen the deep crease on his fiancée's forehead. Nobu, I'm fine. You don't have to panic every time I go around the stairs. Aona visibly clenched his jaw and turned away, but Kenji didn't miss the light dusting of pink on his cheeks. It was rare for Aona to get embarrassed these days, and Kenji added point to his mental score. Stairs seem to be dangerous for you. Are you trying to say I'm clumsy? No, but I don't want to risk more hospital trips. A soft smile curled Kenji's lips. He wrapped himself around Aona's arm, laying his chin on his shoulder. I appreciate it, but you can't carry me down the stairs every time I need to go down. Why not? Because I can walk on my own. And because you won't be around all the time. To support his claim, he stepped back, but winced almost immediately, his knee giving up under him. Aona caught him in a flash and pulled him back to his chest, his heart beating so fast Kenji could feel it under his palm. Careful. What hurts? Biting his lip, Kenji contemplating brushing it off as just stumbling over empty air, which wasn't an uncommon thing for him. But Aona's expression told him thinking of excuse was useless. And so he sighed and leaned more into Aona's side to hide his face. I think there's going to be a change of weather soon. Knee again? Yeah. But it's not a big deal. I don't need crutches or anything. The tension didn't disappear from Aona's face. On the contrary. His arm so far wrapped around Kenji's waist tightened as if he didn't intend to let go of him in the next several hours. Which was something Kenji wouldn't put past him after the events of the last year. You could have fallen again. Nobu. You could have hurt yourself. It could have ended up even worse. Nobu, I'm fine. You already almost collapsed. You fell down the whole stairs. You got lucky, but what if you broke something more than just your knee? Your spine, your head. You could die. Kenji blinked in shock, surprised both by the broken edge in Auna's voice and the amount of words leaving his mouth in a rapid succession. He had seen Auna so rattled only 2 times throughout his life. Once when he saved Kenji from getting hit by a car back in high school after his accidental confession, and a second time after his flight down the stairs. And, of course, now. He hated it from the bottom of his heart, but it also gave him the perfect opportunity. Then, what would you do if that happened? If I died? He felt Auna freezing for a split second before he let out a heavy sigh and pulled him under his chin. That won't happen. I won't let that happen. But what if you couldn't do anything? Then I would sell the house and move somewhere far. Because everything would remind me of you and of what I lost. I think a part of me would die with you. Kenji could swear he heard his heart crack. Oh, Nobu. He let himself get engulfed in the warmest embrace he knew, melting in Auna's arms in an equal exchange of comfort. Apparently, they both needed some. One of the many reasons why Kyotani loved their new practice schedule was the fact that he could now spend much more time with Kyouhaba. On top of that, it wasn't dark anymore when he finally got home every day, which meant they could actually go out without having to wait if they both had a free weekend. It was a welcome change, especially since Kyouhaba still couldn't go to his matches without having a panic attack because of the crowd. Of course, Kyotani would never blame Kyouhaba for that. Knowing his fiancée was alright was more important to him than anything else, and if he was about to never see him in the bleachers again, so be it. He knew Kyouhaba was cheering him on from home. That was enough for him. But it also meant he learned to appreciate the small things and moments spent together much more. Like today, when they took Bruno into an almost empty park. Though to be fair, Kyotani mainly wanted Kyouhaba to go for a walk. Don't rush so much, it's not a race. Kyouhaba flashed him a bright smile, the type that always managed to make him weak in his knees, and skipped a few steps ahead. I know, but I'm just in a good mood today. The sun is shining, it's warm, and we got to go out together. I'm happy, so don't ruin it, okay? Unable to keep the smile of his own from his face, Kyotani followed Kyouhaba with his gaze as his fiancée bent down to scratch Bruno behind the ears, before throwing him another stick. It had been a rough few days after Kyouhaba's last attempt to get out of his shell by going to one of his games. It took Kyotani several hours to calm him down enough for them to go home, and even after that, he could see the little flinches jerking with Kyouhaba's body whenever he appeared around him without prior warning. But now that he watched the smile coming back to Kyouhaba's face, he could relax. Perhaps not for long, but every happy moment was a blessing. And there's a big chance I'll mess it all up with the challenge. Maybe we could do a picnic next week. What do you think? If the weather's going to be nice, then why not? Didn't expect you to be up for having your food full of bugs and grass. Kyouhaba clicked his tongue, apparently offended. Mind you, I've been on a lot of picnics in my life. Before you hauled your ass back on the team, we had monthly picnic meetings in that park behind school. Aikawa-san was very adamant about attendance. Kyotani rolled his eyes with the mention of his former senpai and reached out to grab Kyouhaba's hand, entwining their fingers together to stop him from running away again. Of course he was. Hey, don't be rude. I'm not. I just don't share your pink glasses when it comes to Oikawa. I'll let you know it was nice of him. I really enjoyed them. It's a shame we stopped with them in our third year. Kyotani hummed and tugged on Kyouhaba's hand to pull him a bit closer, feeling some of the all too familiar sadness returning to his voice. We can make a new tradition if you want. Just for us. That seemed to do the trick. Kyouhaba smiled at him, leaning into his side. Sounds good to me. They stayed silent for a while, just enjoying the sun warming their skin and the closeness of each other, while occasionally throwing sticks to Bruno. They settled on one of the benches near a fountain, and Kyotane's heart fluttered when Kyouhaba stuck to his side even more, lying his head on his shoulder with his eyes closed, looking more peaceful than in the whole last month. That could be a good challenge. But before that, this one. Maybe I should tell him it's a challenge too, like Terushima. He glanced down at Kyouhaba again, his heart aching a bit over having to ruin this peaceful moment. But his curiosity won. Shige, can I ask you something? Kyouhaba grumbled quietly but looked up, a little pout on his face. Now? Yeah, I'll let you rest after that. Alright, I'll take your word for it. What is it? It was supposed to be a challenge, so please don't panic because of it, okay? There's no hidden meaning in it. Furrowing his brow, Kyouhaba sat up, uncertainty flashing in his eyes. Well, now you worry me. I know, sorry. I just don't want you to panic for nothing. But I kinda want to know. What would you do if I died? He felt Kyouhaba's grip tighten, his skin losing its usual shade. That was the challenge? Hearing his hitched tone, Kyotane covered Kyouhaba's hand, rubbing small circles into his skin to warm it up again. Yeah. I wanted you to know before I went ahead. For obvious reasons. Kyouhaba let out a strangled chuckle, averting his eyes to stare at their connected hands instead. Yeah, thank you for the warning. That's a harsh one, isn't it? You don't have to answer if you don't want to. But you said you are curious, right? Just give me a bit to think. It's a bit sudden, you know? Kyotane hummed quietly and let Kyouhaba think, still caressing the back of his hand with his thumb. I guess I'd just crumble. If you died. I don't think I could handle that. You are the only real family I have, and just imagining I would lose you it's terrifying. He looked up, his eyes glossed over. I know it sounds weird and that I'm being overly clingy, but after the last year, you are keeping me sane. If you were gone. He left the sentence unfinished, but Kyotane understood. He wrapped his arms around Kyouhaba's shoulders and pulled him under his chin, gently rocking him from side to side to calm him down. Good thing then that I am not leaving anywhere. A soft sniff reached his ears. Yeah, very good. Mori, it's alright. You don't have to jump around me all the time. Yaku ostentatiously ignored him and continued to carry all the various bowls and plates on the table. Sighing, Lev leaned back in the chair, wondering if there was anything he could say to stop Yaku from fretting so much around him. Of course, he understood his fiancée was worried. Back when their roles were reversed, he wasn't able to stop worrying every time Yaku only just winced. But in this case, it wasn't like he got injured. He was fine. He grabbed Yaku's hand when he returned to the table for about the 5th time. Mori, please, sit down. I can bring the rest. But the doctor said the drug is out of my system already. I'm fine, really. Yaku still looked uncertain, avoiding his gaze and biting his lip. Lev entwined their fingers together. Please, sit down. Finally, Yaku obeyed and settled on the opposite chair without a word of protest. He didn't say anything for a short while, before sighing deeply and hiding his face in his palms. Sorry, I'm getting overbearing, aren't I? No, not at all. That's not the issue. I just don't want you to work so hard when I can do things on my own. He reached over the table to capture Yaku's hand in his own again, guiding it to his lips to leave a few light kisses on his fingers. He couldn't remember anything from the ride to the hospital and only knew what Yaku told him. Apparently, He didn't lose consciousness, but fell into some strange stupor, out of which they couldn't wake him. The doctors couldn't tell them too much either, except for the fact that he got dragged through something just shortly before his surge of unconsciousness. Considering he didn't eat almost anything that day, it left the candy he chewed on as the only suspects. But even then, no one was able to tell them what the drug was. Yaku stayed by his side the whole 3 days he had been at the hospital, only going home to bring some general things and clothes for them. The hospital staff even let him sleep in the same room, though that was definitely thanks to Lev's safety manager. He made a mental note to thank her and the whole team again before he was fully focused on Yaku again. I know you are worried. I was too when you were injured. But I swear that everything is fine. Except for the fact that whoever is sending you the letters apparently managed to get close enough to you to drag you. And it won't happen again. Nakamura-san will take care of it. But what if they go with something even worse next time? What if they'll actually hurt you? He took a hitched breath, his voice breaking when he spoke again. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I let that happen. In a flash, Lev was by Yaku's side, kneeling down and taking his face in his palms. Mori, you aren't responsible for my safety. And? I'm your partner. I'm supposed to protect you. But you are in danger too. What if those gummies weren't meant for me at all? What if that someone thought it was a gift for you and dragged them to get to you? The flat fell silent after his words, the silence interrupted only by Lev's rapid breathing. He hadn't really thought about it before, but now that he said it out loud, the horrifying possibility felt much more realistic. He should have realized it much sooner given the contents of the last letters. Nothing standing between you and me. He should have known better. Ice-cold shivers ran down his spine when he imagined Yaku falling somewhere in the flat and possibly renewing his old head injury. Or even worse, if it happened outside. Or when he couldn't help. You have to be careful. Please promise me that. Yaku blinked a few times before nodding slowly, as if he was in a daze. Yeah, I promise. But that doesn't change anything. They could hurt you too if you don't reciprocate their feelings, no matter how messed up it is. Nakamura even said so. I can't see you get hurt. Or worse. Lev bit his tongue. Would you be sad if I died? Close enough, right? The horrified expression on Yaku's face made him immediately regret ever going along with the challenge. Of course I would. How can you even ask that? You're my partner, my fiancé. I love you. How could I not? It would destroy me if I lost you. His voice broke, turning into a choked sob. He quickly turned away, but Lev moved in sync with him and pulled him back into an embrace. Please don't hide your tears from me again. You don't have to be ashamed. I'm not. I just... Shh. It's fine. I feel the same. That's why I need you to be careful. Back when I found you here hurt, it was horrible. And later, I thought I was going to go crazy when you weren't waking up for so long. I know we technically don't live together most of the time, but knowing you wouldn't come back is... I don't want to imagine that. He pulled away a bit, wiping his eyes before he cupped Yaku's face and brushed his thumbs under his eyes to get rid of the wet trails too. So please, you have to take care of yourself. Whatever that person is preparing, it's not going to be nice. He took a shattered breath. I don't want to suddenly get a call that something happened to you. You think I want to? He shook his head and leaned his forehead against Lev's, sniffing softly before closing the distance between their lips. So I'll promise you I'll be careful, but you have to promise me the same. I promise. For a long while, they stayed as they were, clinging to one another in search of comfort and to catch their breaths. Then Lev leaned in for a second kiss, tasting the salt from Yaku's, and possibly his too, tears on his lips. But as long as those lips and cheeks were warm and full of life, he wasn't going to complain. Let's eat now, shall we? And then we can watch something. Yaku sniffed, nodding. Yeah, that's going to be for the best.